Hi, everybody. This is Samantha Calamaris with At Properties here with another interview, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. Today, I'm talking with Lindsey, a friend of mine, and she is somebody, once you meet her, you will love her. She's an energetic mom, she's a wife, she's a food educator that is striving us to slow down, eat more real food, and increase your cooking confidence to improve your gut health and overall mind-body connection. Her resume is extensive and inspiring. I'll let her tell us more about it, but for now, I want you to know that this beautiful soul is doing an incredible job of spreading love, encouraging healthy relationships with food, and most importantly, family. Lindsey Shifley, thank you for meeting with us today and being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's so exciting to talk to you today, and it's a beautiful day. I mean, we haven't had this sunshine for days. And so to be talking about food and gut health and just cooking and just friendship and, you know, being a girl boss, it's so fun.
I know. I am so excited about this. All right. So Lindsey, I want to start off by you just telling me about you personally. Tell us a little bit about your background and your connection with our community.
Sure. Well, I live on Diamond Lake, which is a all sports lake in Mundelein. And I was born and raised here. We joke about there's something in the water. Once you move here, you never leave. So I'm actually 4 generations on this lake. My children are, and my husband is actually also 4 generations on the lake. So our grandparents actually lived on either sides of the lake, and he was my neighbor. So it's a very, very weird situation, but I love it. So I haven't moved very far. I'm Mundelein to the core. And I I'm an athlete, and I played 3 sports. I got the amazing opportunity to play softball at Northwestern University. I've always loved science and the brain, and I think I might have said to my mom and dad a couple times, I want to be a doctor. You know, I've always wanted to help people. So I went into speech and language therapy. That's what I got my bachelor's of science in, and played 4 years of ball. Loved it, got married early and had kids, and have always loved food. I've always said I'm a human garbage disposal. Love it. I can remember being pregnant and watching the Food Network just constantly and writing all the recipes down. And as life got busier, I didn't cook as much as I probably wanted to. And I just stopped really paying attention, I guess, because it was crazy. So
life gets busy, right?
It just got busy, right? And my daughter so in terms of work, I worked full-time at Banner Day Camp as a leadership team member, which was so exciting. So I've always been very, very, I'm a coach at heart for sure. Coach, teacher, and all of that. And I decided to stay home with my kids. So I did that for about 5 years, and I did a little bit of speech and language therapy in the schools. And then, it was such a great background to have, of course. And then my daughter started having some difficulties in school with auditory processing and anxiety and all the things that I kind of went to school for. And once her age caught up with her data, and I was at the intervention table with everybody, and I knew I needed to make a move, whether it was, pharmaceuticals or another way. And I called the doctor, and they were closed. And I'll never forget that day, because it was, have you ever seen that movie with Gwyneth Paltrow? The Sliding Doors movie.
Yeah.
I
can't think of the name, but yes. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt like that was a moment, because I think if the office was open, I mean, who knows? But I just decided that day I was going to try this wacko food change that my neighbor told me about. And it wasn't that big of a deal, but I went home and I, made a pile of food from my pantry that had, artificial colors and preservatives and things in it. My husband comes home and he's like, "What are you doing? Throwing out all this food?" But he said, "All right, go ahead, give it a try." And the intervention team was amazing. They were so supportive. They had heard about it happening, but they never really knew anybody that it made a difference for. So we had just coincidentally taken all this data on Abby, and And so we were constantly taking data, and long story short, the food change worked. And it was essentially an elimination diet. And my background at being a speech and language therapist, the training, these symptoms that she was having with attention and anxiety and everything that was going on, just not being able to read and follow 2-step directions. Those weren't things that usually clear up in 2 weeks. So I knew there was something going on between her gut and her brain. So on to my research I went, and I found Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution. There was an ambassador page. And I thought, you know what, one woman's advice kind of changed my life. So maybe I could get into this whole food thing. Mm-hmm. So I became an ambassador, and it was just coincidentally, I think I was one of the first 100 ambassadors to apply. And that was in November 2012. And about 130 days after we made the food change, Abby was just doing great. She was exceeding expectations. And that's what started this incredible journey of food education and personally me learning how to cook and figuring out how to cook gluten-free, dairy-free, and all the different things I had pulled out of her diet, which now we've added back in. And that's really what got me into this gut-brain health direction, which 9 years ago, 9 years ago, there wasn't a ton of information that I could find on it. And so I just, I was really into that realm of like more eat this, not that, right? That more masculine, nutritional, where we all sort of resided most of the time. Calories in, calories out, eat this, not that. And I knew there was something more going on. And I was really concerned about, just as a mom providing for her kids, I didn't want there to be I didn't want to start an issue. Right. An eating issue. I'm afraid of this food. We definitely, there was like tugging of war at the dinner table. And I'm like, you know what? You have those moments as a mom, you're like the devil and the angel on your shoulder. Right. I don't think I'm doing this very well right now. Right. So anyways, the next step in my journey was going back to school for a mind-body nutrition coaching degree in dynamic eating psychology and mind-body nutrition. And I went back for a year, and I got over 250 hours of training. And not only did it rock my own personal world as an eater, right, and as someone who's doing most of the cooking in our house, but it completely changed I don't want to say change, but it brought in this understanding of ourselves and who we are as eaters, and it rounded out the eat this, not that, to what's really going on. Right. So
real quick, let me interject real quick. So I feel like the first time I met you was right around this time. And there was like a fire in you, something that came up. And a little tidbit, I don't know if you know this, but my dad had a house on Diamond Lake for many years. So I lived on Diamond Lake as well. Yes.
What? Where? Oh, Terraform Industrial Park.
It was right across from on Route 83, from the little tavern there, Yes. In fact, I think a house next door to us just went on the market, where we used to live. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So you're right to the right of me where you used to live.
Yes, exactly.
I'm telling you, there's something about people who live here. We find each other.
I know. Okay. So one thing I wanted to say is that it inspired you. And I feel like, that's when I started watching you, and because this is a family thing. Your family's involved in a lot of the stuff that you do, because food is such an important part of our daily life. And we'll get back to you in a second, because I think I've got more questions here that will come back to it. But it's been a priority for you personally for a long time. And that's, it's interesting to see how you went to school and you got all of that knowledge. You started bringing it home. And that's something that's so important today, because people are starting to focus on their food a little bit more. So you started cooking on home, you started doing more. What made you start posting all of it?
That is a good question. So my sister and I, when we were little, we would jump off high places and swing sets and stuff like that. And one day we decided to yell to the Mullies. And it was that moment in time, you're like, I'm going all over the place, but I have to explain this because it's so important. We would yell to the mullies, and it's that moment in time where you're like, this is perfect, right? And you either land perfectly or you break something, right? You land, you get grass stains. And so when I started the blog, I knew I needed a team, right? Because at heart, I'm an athlete, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that athletic perseverance is what told me, well, Lindsey, you could do anything for a month. And if it doesn't work, whatever, no regrets, right? So I decided to call my blog to the mullies and post and write. But I wanted to do it, even if only one person was watching, I wanted to do it publicly because, you know, when you're on a team, you have that accountability. And I didn't have anybody to be accountable to, right? I had, you know, my neighbor who was like, yay, go, I did it too, right? But my mom was like, they're gonna starve, you know? And my husband was like, whatever, you're crazy, you know, but I support you, right? Don't take my Oreos away. Anyways, so I needed this sense of like, okay, I need somebody to hold me accountable. And even though I didn't know who that person was, doing it publicly was absolutely 100%. It held me accountable, and I had to keep doing it. You know, I got to that like 3-4 day, and we kind of noticed some differences, but it kept me going. And so that's why I decided to do it publicly. And though I've slowed down a little bit with my blogging, what I do on Instagram and you know, Facebook, you know, definitely picked up, but it was my practice field. I mean, that's what it's really about. You know, I took what I did as an athlete, as a softball player, as a pitcher, and I go, well, if I could do that, if I could really stink in the beginning of my athletic career and turn it into something that nobody expected me to do anything with, right? Nobody would have bet any money on me if you were to see me pitch before I learned how to pitch. And I knew I could, well, you know what? Who knows where this is going to go? And I have to say, I always, when we designed this house and this kitchen, and you're going to totally laugh at me, I was like, oh my God, I want to be Giada. I'm like, she's so beautiful. She's so fun. I just want to cook like her, right?
I watched her all the time. I love
Rachel Ray.
Yep.
And I still love them, right? And so they were, you know, so I had these athletes who I aspired to be like, right? I wanted to be Michael Jordan. He was like my spirit animal. I pretended I was Michael Jordan when I played, right? And so the same kind of thing happened with the cooking. I had no idea where it was going, right? And I remember telling my dad that I go, you know, Dad, I don't know where this whole softball thing is going to take me, but I'm just obsessed. And I want to get up in the morning and I want to go to the high school and I want to practice. And that's that same feeling that I had with cooking and with food education. People are like, what are you doing? Why are you volunteering your time? This is crazy. I'm like, I don't know. I just love it.
Yeah, I do. I love, the blog is great, which people can check out. We'll tell them how to get there, but I actually prefer watching you. Like it's visual to me. I'm a visual person. So when I can see you doing it, I'm like, well, I can do that. One thing I want to talk about, we're going to talk about Compass a little bit later. I'm going to change it up, but in your dinner table photos. Okay. So for everybody that you need to follow Lindsey on social media, she takes these pictures from way up high of her dinner table, way up high, and it shows everything. And one thing I love about it, because dinner is really important to us. We eat dinner as a family every single night, and it's a priority to us. I feel like you only have so many of those dinners with your kids. So it's really important at the table. Who inspired that? And how does your family feel about it?
The standing up and it's funny. I don't know, because you see more pictures like that now, but when I started doing it, I didn't notice anyone really doing it. And I love art, and I threw pottery, and I almost went to art school. And so looking down at the table and the negative and the positive space and like the hands, like, and at first they were like, oh, do I have to pose? No, I'm like, no. I don't want anybody to pose. Just eat like normal. Right. That viewpoint of just everybody being there and the table, just whatever is on the table is on the table. I wanted to show that the family table really, that's what I was trying to,
that's what it's all about. Meaning Yeah, everything that you're doing, you're cooking, you're creating, and then the family dinner table is where the magic happens, right? Like that's where I was saying to my husband last night, we were at dinner and we were talking and the kids were laughing and food was out and we cooked the food and we created it together. There was just something so magical about that moment. So real quick,
and we like candles. We like candles, even if we order out. That's like it's a ritual. And how fun! The best thing about this coronavirus being at home is that I get to have my family every single night, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna go away. I'm gonna
but I know. Yeah. Well, we've got happy May 1st. We've got 30 more days. So
30 more days.
Yes. All right. We talked about your blog a little bit. We talked about, let's talk real quick about that because the virus is encouraging people to cook and eat more at home.
Yeah.
What do you say to those moms? I mean, obviously we want to continue to support our local restaurants with takeout. And I think everybody's doing that a little bit, but we are certainly seeing people cook more at home. What kind of advice do you give to the mom or the dad who is just struggling a little bit and what they can do to make sure that they're giving good ingredients, nutrient dense food to their children and to themselves? Because taking care of themselves is a priority right now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That I think is something I'm still trying to figure out myself. And I think a lot of people, when they look at what I'm doing, they are like, oh my gosh, she's really got it figured out. I have certainly, when I look back 9 years ago, I am doing a lot better than I was, but I'm still trying to bring my family and their taste buds and their desire to have more nutrient food, dense food. I'm still trying to bring that up because I have a family of very picky eaters and they've all made leaps and bounds, but this is the top of the mountain that I don't think there is a top to. Do you know what I mean? Because we're all, we have to eat every day. We're eaters, right? So being my husband doesn't cook too much, actually at all. His pride is like when we decide we want to eat out, he gets to go get it. And so that's how we kind of complement each other. But cooking, the biggest advice that I have is to find a great cookbook. Seriously. I mean, a cookbook, a show, and just start cooking and start with 1 or 2 recipes. If you know your family loves Italian food or salad, like whatever it might be, start with perfecting. I mean, I really encourage people to think about it like a sport because kitchen, working in the kitchen and cooking is super. I mean, we weren't taught how to do it, Sam, right? Like there's no food education in the schools. Unless you take a family and consumer studies class, who's teaching you? Unless your mom and dad taught you or your grandmother, who's teaching us, right? So we're all like, well, I don't even know what this is. Is this a knife? I don't know. Like, how do I cut? And so we're all, we all like to feel good about what we're doing, but you then follow a recipe and it doesn't turn out like the picture. You spend 2 hours and you're like, oh my God, this is crazy, right? You might like it, but then what if you put it on the table and those like little rascals say, oh, this is really gross. So it is truly, you really have to have an athletic mindset. So along with
get better.
Along with finding a cookbook or an Instagram personality or someone to be like, okay, I like this recipe and I'm going to practice it and get better. Think about, all of us, I think, have tried to run, right? And like get better at running at some point. I'm like, go for a marathon, but
you can't run a marathon the first day.
No, right. So you're going to have days and you're going to have family tables that just don't go well. Like one person in a bad mood might be me,
right?
And so you like everything happens. Amazing meals happen, terrible meals happen, arguments happen, like joyous laughter that you're going, oh my God, can we just stay here forever? So it's my advice is you've got to keep beginning again and think about cooking, not something that you're going to want to do every day. Because I don't. I want to get that very clear. Sometimes I'm like, please, just get something to eat. I don't want to cook tonight. But to put on music, to make it as much as you can a family activity, but don't get into the tug of war of get in here to cook with me, you know,
Right.
which
Agreed. One question I did have for you,
yeah.
which I kind of threw in, and is who cleans after you cook everything? Do you get stuck cooking and cleaning?
This stay at home has created an amazing evolution of our family. We now assign, because our kids are old enough. I've got a 5th grader, I guess now a freshman, right? So 6th grade, freshman, and sophomore. They now rotate.
Awesome.
So before, my husband would do the cleaning. I'd cook, he would clean, and sometimes I would, because, you know, whatever.
Yeah, you help.
But now it rotates, and the kids have to do everything, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. What about you?
That's really great. You know, I think it's a balance. My husband is more of the cooker in our family, so I'm his sous chef, I always say. So I will help prep and prepare, and then I will clean up. Although he's probably better at cleaning than I am. So usually I do like 80%, and then he comes and finishes. But the kids also help a lot. But the kids are also, you know, they make their own breakfast in the morning. They do a lot of stuff on their own, so they're capable. And
how old are they again? How old are your kids?
So Dominic's 14 and Cassidy is 16.
We have very similar age kids.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about some of your favorite. Oops. Where did you go? There you are. I'm like, where'd you go? There you are.
I know my low power. I'm just going to plug in my phone here. I've got it very close. I'm doing low power. Here we go.
Low power. All right. Tell me what's a couple of your favorite, because I definitely want to wrap it up soon, because I know I try not to make them too long so people watch.
I know, but
tell me a couple of your favorite.
We could talk forever about this, right?
Hours. Yes. Tell me a couple of your favorite kitchen items.
Okay. So Samantha asked me to get 2, and of course I was like, I can't just pick 2, but I will pick the 2 that were at the top of my list. I just did it. It's funny. I did a cooking video recently, and I talked about this. This is a must. This is a immersion blender. So you stick it in your pot of soup, and it blends everything up. You can also put it in, you know, a higher glass, and you can do smoothies with it. You know, I have a lot of gadgets. I have a NutriBullet. I have a Vitamix. I have a lot of things, but this prevents you from having to transfer soup into a blender and get another thing dirty, because I hate cleaning up, you know, stuff. So this is what I bring on every single retreat, because I have to have it. And for kids who are picky and have issues with texture, which my husband does too, this purees everything. So if you make cream of mushroom soup, right? And they hate mushrooms, well, you just blend it up, and it's like, oh, what's in this? This is really good. And I do that with, you know, tomato sauce too. So that's my number 1. And my number 2 is probably some kind of a food processor. And I brought my mini prep out, because this thing is just, it does everything. If you want to make a really quick sauce, your own dressing, you want to chop up anything, it's just, we left. Hello. Hello.
There?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, where's your face? There you are.
Am I here?
Okay. Yeah, so we'll edit this a little bit. I will try to edit it, but so okay, I didn't see the second item.
Okay, so so I had the immersion blender. You can get that at Target. And then a mini prep. So the mini prep I use all the time to just make different things. Like if I need my onions chopped really fast, if I need, I made this avocado crema sauce. Oh my gosh, it's just, it's wonderful to have. And I've actually even though I have to be careful, I've even been able to do some dates and some tougher stuff in it. But mini prep, I love my food processor. I don't know if I could live without that. And then here are the little things. A really good knife. Like this is my baby. I also love zesters, a microplane, because taking the zest off of anything, oranges, limes, lemons, it adds so much crazy antioxidant and just flavor. This is my favorite spatula. So I'm a huge kitchen nerd. And when I cook, I really like to use things that have memories. And so I encourage everybody, when you go on vacation, get something for your kitchen that reminds you of vacation, because
Ooh.
I really believe it's so important, not just when you eat, but when you cook, to be relaxed and to be in this presence of as much love, right? And less like, oh, I gotta cook, because,
Right. Yes.
you know, cooking and eating when done in a relaxed state, parasympathetic wise, right? That is telling your body, okay, I have time to assimilate. I have time to digest. And so I really enjoy, I mean, you can see all my chats behind me, but I really enjoy cooking with things that bring me back to amazing memories in different places.
Let's talk about that real quick. Sure, you have a bunch of items from the different trips, retreats that you've been on with Compass. So
Yes.
Compass Retreats, you are the private chef. You want to tell us a little bit briefly about that?
Sure. I mean, can you believe it? 9 years ago, I would have been like, I'm doing what? Yeah. So when Forever Home Yoga opened up in Vernon Hills, it's a hot yoga studio. That's how I met Kelsey Stoll, who's the manager there. And Kelsey, also very much into food, she said, you know, I really want to do this mindful eating seminar. And so we paired up. I created a dish, a tasting dish, with a farm that we partnered with. And then she brought everyone through a mindful eating exercise, essentially a mindful eating meditation. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, I know I need to go back to school for mind body nutrition. And she wanted to connect her two loves, which was the wilderness training she went through with in high school, mountain climbing, hiking, and then of course yoga. And she wanted to create Compass. And I said, well, yeah, I'll travel and cook, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to nourish people and feed people and inspire people. But then hiking and traveling fills me up too. So we came together, and together we just roam all over the place, and we're hitting bucket lists.
So as a consumer, like, a consumer, I can go in and I can pick a destination, and then depending on the room, you pick a room and you go there, and you go, you stay in a house together, you eat together, you hike together. I will go on one day. That is on my bucket list.
When we get out of this social distancing, but it's per room. So some rooms no rooms are single, so they're always a double. So you split with a girlfriend, or you go with your husband or your partner. And then some of our rooms are triples and quadruples. So those are really great. They're very popular, because then you split it 4 ways, and it's like, woo, party time, bumping up,
Yes, so fun. Like I cannot wait to go on that. A couple things that I wanted to tell you. I wanted you to know that I reached out to a couple people that know and love you, and I wanted you to know that they had these words to say about you: passionate, creative, energetic, the most loving friend you'll ever have. Seriously, one of the coolest, most free-spirited, and yet strong and confident gals I know. And I could not agree them more.
That is so nice.
Yes. You've done a great job. Tell everybody where they can find you. Because that's really important. I want everybody to follow Lindsey. You have to follow her. She's great.
You are so kind. My favorite social media place to hang is Instagram. So it's my name, Lindsey Shifley. I'm on Twitter, but I would say Instagram is where I try to put all my food love, and I'm doing more Instagram videos. I'm also on Facebook, of course, but I would say Instagram. Themullies.com is my blog, and I'm posting here and there still. But Instagram, I just love it. And I'm also at More Guts, More Glory. So More Guts, More Glory, and I like to say it all starts at home plate.
Love that
is that's my pitching and mind body nutrition cooking business. So I like to inspire people, not only on the diamond, I live on the diamond. How funny is that? So I have a diamond dugout, which is beneath me, which is where we pitch together, and then I cook with my athletes and all kinds of individuals, moms and sons and daughters, and individuals who are wanting to dive deeper into figuring out unwanted symptoms, digestive, eating, body image stuff, you know, it's
Yeah.
a
You
big,
will,
lovely
you will be
world out
inspired. Yes. People, everybody follow her. You will be inspired. It will encourage you to eat well, to be with your family. And I am very thankful for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was
I
so
can't
much
wait
fun.
to get together outside of this.
Me too.
And so thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you. Bye.